I never thought I'd find myself here, standing on the edge of everything I thought I knew, letting go of the life I once imagined. It's not a decision I wanted to make, but sometimes the weight of the world becomes too much to carry, and all you can do is release it. There comes a moment when everything inside of you shifts, when you realize you can't keep pretending that everything is okay. Sometimes saying goodbye is the most honest thing you can do for yourself, even if it breaks your heart in the process. Life has a way of testing us, pushing us to our limits until we find the courage to break free. It's not about giving up. It's about finally acknowledging that it's time to let go and step into the unknown. The hardest part about reaching your breaking point isn't the pain, it's realizing that you gave all you had and still found nothing but emptiness. I've learned that some battles aren't worth fighting anymore. We hold on to things for so long, convinced that letting go means failure. But sometimes, letting go is the bravest thing we can do, the only way to protect the parts of ourselves that still need healing. It's strange how the moment you decide to walk away from everything familiar, you finally feel like you're truly alive. The weight lifts, and you realize that your peace was always waiting for you to choose it. The pain of staying can be more overwhelming than the fear of leaving. Sometimes breaking point isn't a sign of weakness. It's the spark of self-awareness that says, I deserve better. I didn't want to reach this moment, but it came anyway. And now I stand here knowing that I'm no longer the person who will sacrifice my own well-being for the sake of something or someone else. In every ending, there is a new beginning. I can feel the shift within me as I let go of all the things I've outgrown, all the things that no longer serve my highest good. Goodbye is a bittersweet but necessary step. Sometimes you have to leave behind everything you've known just to find yourself again. The hardest part isn't saying goodbye, but trusting that you'll find your way once you do. It's hard to admit, but I've come to a place where I have no more fight left. And while it feels like defeat, it's actually the moment I choose to honor myself and finally let go of what has been holding me back. The truth is, no one can tell you when it's time to give up. You'll know when you've reached your breaking point, and it's up to you to decide whether you keep pushing or make the brave decision to walk away. I've realized that sometimes the hardest person to let go of is yourself, the version of you that you've held on to, even though it no longer fits with who you are becoming. Reaching my breaking point didn't feel like a failure. It felt like freedom. Freedom from the expectations, the pain, the endless cycle that left me exhausted and drained. There's a quiet power in finally choosing yourself, in understanding that your worth doesn't come from what others expect of you. I've learned that sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away and create space for a better version of you. It's not about quitting, it's about realizing that you deserve more than what you're settling for. My breaking point is the moment I chose to believe that I'm worth a different reality. Sometimes you have to leave the past behind in order to step into a future you never thought possible. This is my goodbye to the life I once knew, and with it I reclaim my power. It's a hard thing to admit, but there comes a time when holding on becomes more painful than letting go. And in that moment, you realize that saying goodbye is the most courageous thing you can do. I never imagined I'd find myself standing here at the edge of everything, feeling both empty and hopeful all at once. But it's in this moment that I choose to let go and trust that something better is waiting for me. In the quiet of the night, I realized that my breaking point wasn't a failure. It was my awakening, an awakening to the truth that I deserve peace, happiness, and the freedom to choose my own path. There are moments in life where the only way to move forward is to leave everything behind. Saying goodbye isn't a surrender, it's a declaration of strength. The weight of expectations, the pressure of trying to fit into a world that doesn't understand you, it all became too much. And when I reached my breaking point, I realized that it was time to let go and rebuild my life from the ground up. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is admit that you need a change, that you've outgrown the people, places, and situations that no longer serve your journey. This goodbye is my first step toward finding peace. I've spent so much time holding on to things that weren't meant for me. Now, I'm learning to let go and trust that what's waiting for me on the other side is worth the pain of goodbye. Reaching my breaking point wasn't a choice, but accepting it as part of my journey was. I know that I can only go up from here, and the hardest part is behind me. It's hard to understand that sometimes we need to let go of things before we can heal. But the truth is, I had to reach my breaking point to realize that the only way out was through the hardest goodbye I've ever had to say. At some point, the heart and mind just can't take it anymore. And when you hit your breaking point, you realize that the only way to heal is by saying goodbye and taking control of your own life. The beauty of a goodbye is that it marks the beginning of something new. I'm not leaving because I'm giving up. I'm leaving because I finally understand my worth. When you finally reach your breaking point, it's not the end. It's just the moment you realize that you are capable of more than you ever thought possible. I thought I had to stay, that leaving would make me weak. But now I know that my true strength is found in the courage to walk away and start over. There comes a time when everything breaks: your spirit, your heart, your mind. But in that breaking, there is also a profound shift. I'm letting go now, not because I'm defeated, but because I finally understand what peace feels like. Sometimes the only way to heal is to walk away from what's hurting you. The hardest part isn't leaving, it's realizing that you deserve so much more than you've been settling for. I've reached my breaking point, and in that moment, I've realized that I can't keep fighting for something that no longer feels like me. It's time to choose myself and pick the peace I've been longing for. It's not easy to admit when you've reached your limit, but the hardest thing is realizing that it's okay to walk away from things that don't bring you joy or peace. Sometimes reaching your breaking point is the start of something beautiful. It's the moment you decide to let go of the past and step into a future full of possibilities. There's a strange beauty in breaking down. It forces you to confront the truth about what you need, what you deserve, and what you must leave behind to become whole again. I never wanted to reach my breaking point, but now that I'm here, I understand that it's not a failure. It's an opportunity to shed the old and welcome the new with open arms. Letting go isn't easy, but sometimes it's the only way to move forward. Saying goodbye is my way of honoring my growth, my pain, and my journey to healing. At my breaking point, I've come to realize that I've been holding on to the wrong things. Now, I choose to let go and trust that something better is on the horizon. Sometimes, the hardest part of moving forward is making the decision to leave behind what no longer serves you. This is my final goodbye, and I'm stepping into a new chapter of my life. I've reached my breaking point, and now I understand that this goodbye is not a sign of weakness, but an act of self-love. I'm walking away to create the space I need to heal. It's not about quitting. It's about recognizing when something no longer brings you peace, when something no longer fits with who you are becoming. This is my goodbye to what no longer serves me. I've come to the realization that my happiness isn't tied to the things I've been holding on to. This goodbye is the first step toward creating the life I've always dreamed of. In the quiet, in the stillness, I realized that I can no longer keep living for everyone else. It's time to say goodbye and start living for myself. The hardest part of reaching your breaking point isn't the moment you let go. It's the courage it takes to trust that something better is waiting for you when you do. Saying goodbye isn't easy, but sometimes it's the only way to open the door to new possibilities, new growth, and a life that truly aligns with your soul. I thought I had to keep fighting for the life I had, but now I see that I had to reach my breaking point in order to realize that there's so much more waiting for me if I'm willing to walk away from what's no longer meant for me. The journey of letting go is never easy, but it's a necessary part of healing. I'm choosing to say goodbye now because I know that in doing so, I'm making space for a new and better future. I've reached my breaking point, but instead of feeling defeated, I feel free. Free from the weight of expectations, free from the chains of the past. This goodbye is my liberation. Sometimes the best thing you can do is step away, and in stepping away, you create room for something more beautiful to come into your life. It's not easy to say goodbye to something that once meant everything, but sometimes it's the only way to find the peace and happiness you've been searching for.